Gather round. It's time for your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group at Coldwell Banker Burnett. Listen closely as your coaches discuss the culture, the economy, and the political scene, and how it affects your home and your real estate investments. Real Estate Chalk Talk is where you learn the science of buying and selling real estate and the art of living in your home. Your education begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey there, welcome to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk coming to you from the lovely HittnerGroup.com, Hittner Group, all one word, HittnerGroup.com website. It is the one, it is the place, it is the location, it is the one of the oldest and best real estate websites in the continental United States of America. Go there and check it out. 612-627-8000. That's the number to call. 612-627-8000. Give us a ring-a-ling-a-ling. We'd be happy to chat with you about your real estate needs. And, of course, that first call is with no cost and absolutely no obligation.
Good morning.
Morning. How is everybody today? Mike Hilborn's on the show. Hi, Michael.
Thanks for having me, guys.
How are you?
Every time. It's great.
Anything you guys want to share? Calvin, what are you doing? Playing video games online or
Getting
what?
ready for segment 4 right now. It's going to be a powerful segment about mortgage interest rates.
Oh,
and
yeah,
also
powerful segment.
And also a kind of a reflection on Jordan Peterson, his lecture that both Mike and I were at this week.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so anyone want to share anything before I start talking?
No, let's roll. Let's see what you got.
All right, so I'm curious. I got this email today because everyone's like all excited about, or not excited about, but concerned, worried that maybe something is happening to market values and the real estate market is about to collapse and is it going to be a repeat of 2008?
Really?
Do you hear it from...
I'm not seeing that. Where are you seeing that?
I'm working right now with a surprising number of buyers who are kind of in the process of getting ready, and they're anguishing over whether or not that values are going to come down. Is now a good time to buy? Should they wait until the market quote unquote bottoms out? Some numbers just came out this week from the National Association, and they were looking at the fourth quarter, and across the board, in virtually every metropolitan area, values have gone up. So the values are continuing to go up. The difference is that the rate of increase has lessened somewhat.
The rate of increase has lessened.
Right.
Okay. Right.
So,
well, okay.
It's like the government speak.
Right.
The budget. We're doing cuts in the budget, and they're saying, "Oh, we're cutting the budget."
You're cutting the increase.
We're cutting the increase. So the increase in values has been cut to. In the Midwest, it's 4%. So, and of course, as Junior likes to point out, painfully so, all real estate is local. And different neighborhoods, you got to look at different neighborhoods. Some are going to be more, some are going to be less, but the Midwest in general has increased at 4% and looks like it's going to continue to increase. I'm seeing that. I'm looking this morning, early as I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning searching for properties for a client. And there are, I'm looking in from Plymouth North. From Plymouth North,
okay,
right, in that kind of northwestern quadrant.
Disagree with everything that you just said.
What do you disagree with?
Me too, but that's fine.
What do you disagree with? Plymouth North.
Okay.
And I'm seeing split entry homes with 2-car garage for $400,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Good feedback.
It's a lot of money. And it's like, jeepers creepers, and these are not like, these are like 1976, 1982, 1986.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they were just built last year.
Right.
The newer splits with the, open big foyers and stuff like that. They're old traditional split entry homes with 2-car garage for $400,000.
Here's what I disagree with, and maybe I don't make sense at all.
Okay.
But hopefully I do.
That won't be the first time.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Call Nikki.
Yeah, right? Let's call my wife and see
how
much I make
Trevor,
sense.
get Nikki on the line.
Yep, we're going to tap her in here. I think that if we're like comparing values, and the question's always like, what are we comparing to? What are the values that we're comparing to? If we're looking at like median sales price or average sales price, like, okay, is that number increasing? Is that what we're looking at? Because it's probably what we're looking at. We're not saying like this 2-story in Eagan last year sold for this, and now it's selling for this, which is higher.
Right.
And so I disagree with
well,
that.
It is a very broad brush.
Yep, I disagree with that. Like, if for folks listening, they hear that stuff and they're like, "Oh, that means my neighbor's house sold for $600 last year. I'll probably get $650."
And that's what I was leading to. That's
the misconception of listening to this
Senior.
rhetoric that seniors
Senior.
putting
I know.
out
Well,
there.
Senior-
well, you didn't let me finish.
I disagree with that shirt he's wearing.
You didn't let me finish. I was bringing
Oh,
it around.
oh, there you go.
So now
There it comes.
yesterday I was looking at a property in Bloomington, and I was doing just what you said. So I'm looking now in West Bloomington.
Richfield Ranch?
No,
Bloomington
not
Ranch?
a ranch. It's a nice two-story brick, and beautiful. And so I'm looking at Bloomington houses, West Bloomington, and I want to see what average and median sale price is. And I got a little bit more specific, two-story, in this price, in the 500,000 plus price point, to see what median and the median sale prices have been consistently declining since a year ago, since February of 22.
Yeah, really since October of 21.
It could be.
You can look back.
It could
even
be. I
further,
was just
but
looking
I'm sure
back
you
a
maybe
year.
didn't look that
Yeah,
far back.
I didn't
but
look that far back.
We saw it October of 2021, and I read reports here locally that pans out now.
Yeah.
So it really was fall of 21 when we saw a shift in the market,
Yep.
which we reported here a ton during that time.
Yep.
And everybody's, don't listen to that crap. Don't listen to
Yeah.
it. Okay. I mean, I could give you the information. You can tell me I'm full of beans, but I'm still going to tell you the information.
So
go ahead.
both
sorry.
median and average sale prices declined, just a straight line down. I mean, it was just every month it was less. Median sale prices declined more than average sale prices. So to the point now where median sale price in Bloomington, as of yesterday, was $500,000 for that price point. I mean, it's like, so that means that half the property sold above and half the property sold below. Average sale price was about $550.
So to add some perspective to that really quick, and what I'm getting at when I say like I don't agree with everything you're saying, and like saying values are up, values are down.
I'll
things
meet you
are
in the
even.
parking lot later then.
I'm gonna meet you at the flagpole. Is I think we're still in a good spot.
Oh, yeah.
So if we look back and give it some perspective, it's 2023. So if you look back to like 2010 and 12, values were supremely low, right?
Yeah.
So folks that bought houses over the last 10 years are still in a good spot. If you bought a house last year and maybe you paid $20,000 or $30,000 more than a house might be selling now, and that price point's different and all the nuances of what that number means. Are you moving today?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? Like, I look at my portfolio and I'm like, holy crap, my portfolio is up $30,000 today. My stock portfolio, just as an example. Great. Phew. And then the next day is like, she's down 22. You can't look at, you're not going anywhere. I'm not selling that stock.
I look at mine, and it's just about getting back to when Trump was president.
So I'm looking at the same thing. Like, I own an investment property that it was my house. It's now an investment property. And what do I care what the value is of that right now? I'm not doing anything with it. It's just sitting there. You have to live somewhere, right? So if you're in the market to buy a house, values are up, values are down, you're going to be living there for a period of time, right?
Correct.
So I don't think it's really scary for people to hear that median sales prices are off a little bit, or you could have sold that last spring for, if it's, here's another example, and then I'll let you get into it. I just sold a house in South Minneapolis. We listed it for $515. It sold for less than that. I think we probably could have gotten $530 for that last spring.
Yeah.
And now they weren't moving last spring, so they're moving now.
Right.
They bought the house 8 years ago, so they're doing pretty good.
Darn
They're still
right.
in a good spot to sell that property. So you have to have some perspective on all of it.
So we're getting a lot of emails in our the Loan Depot inbox for our radio show here, and one question is, what was your point, Senior? Because you said it's up and then it's down, and can you conclude your thought?
Okay. So it was really what he was saying. The Midwest as a general, you have different
concluded it
regions.
for him.
I kind of did.
Yeah, he did finish it for me. You have different regions of the country. They're showing, on average, still a movement of positive values.
Okay.
Are increasing. But again, you can go to any market and look at individual properties, and the tighter that you make that search, the more you're going to see that there has been some give and take. But you can go to other areas and see that there's been an increase. No place in the markets have there been double-digit increases, though. So those days are pretty much over. But there is still a general pressure on increasing values, and because of the inventory is still low. Inventory is still low, and as interest rates come back down, like Kelvin has promised, you're going to see, I think, as we get late into spring, quite a bit of activity here.
Well, we're going to hold Calvin to that promise, for sure.
For sure.
If you need to get in touch with Calvin, he's the mortgage guru. Call him 651-231-2500. Call us at 612-627-8000. That number again is 612-627-8000. Or, as always, log on to our website, hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group.com, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk, and we are coming to go to hittnergroup.com. I want to say coming to from somewhere. We're not coming to from anywhere.
Right here where we are.
Coming through, from AM 1280
the Patriot. Right here in the basement.
612, the basement studio, 612-627-8000, 612-627-8000, hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group, all one word, hittnergroup.com. Give us a call, go online, reach out. We'd love to talk to you about your real estate needs. Mike Hilborn's here from the Hilborn Companies.
Right.
And I got a question for you. My lights that you put up on my house are completely embedded in about 4 inches of ice.
Yep.
Half of them quit working, and the other half worked fine.
Okay.
And so I'm looking at this ice up there, and I was going to go scrape the roof. I didn't even want to scrape the roof because I didn't want to scrape the lights off the roof. But I did a little bit, just pulled some snow back away, and it's kind of melty. But it's like, what do you do about that? And you're steaming away up on the roofs yet, aren't you?
First, before you get into it, my lights look awesome that you did.
They're still good?
They're still good.
Good.
Yep. The veterans guy that was taking some donations backed right into my tree, though, yesterday, which is
nice.
a little bit of a problem.
Oh, no.
But they all still work,
Okay.
and they look fantastic. I still run them.
I run them too.
Going.
I still run the half ones because it's over the garage. That side looks
Still
great.
looks okay, because otherwise I just unplug them.
Yeah, but I like the...
Yeah.
And the trees all lit up.
Didn't you do the permanent?
No, I'm going to.
Why don't you do the permanent?
I am going to do that next year. Mike's giving me a deal. He's
yeah.
giving me. He told me he'd give me half off, so I'm going to do it.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, we can stir them half off.
Yeah. All right. So what are you doing about ice?
Okay, so we don't melt ice to get the lights off. We don't do that.
Yeah.
But no, you get ice dams, and then water starts backing into your house, and it was really, really...
I think the lights caused the ice dams.
Yeah, really? All right. Well, I would be for that, because we like ice dams. But yeah, it was really, really busy, kind of early January. But we've been doing ice dams every day since beginning of the season, except for yesterday. It was one day, the first day the whole time we haven't done one, but we're again doing them today.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyway.
So does that come? Because I know how it came early. Is there like a second wave now that you would expect, or is it kind of like it comes once a year and then it's over with, or how does that typically? go?
Ice dams are real simple. It's a tremendous amount of snow in a very short period of time in cold temperatures. That's it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in 2019, I was just looking at this the other day. In 2019, ice dams started February 15th. Mm-hmm. This year, they started early January, which is very, very rare.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did have a ton of snow.
Usually they start in February. We've had them Christmas time, too, of course. It can have any time. But typically it starts in February or mid-February and then ends about mid-March. But you don't
This
know.
year the
You look at
cycle's
the
a little bit
forecast,
different,
it's just
right?
warm forever.
Yeah.
The next 15 days.
I'm excited about that.
And very, very little snow coming.
What do you do then about? Because I look at my house and all around the perimeter of my house, there's like this 2 inches here and maybe 4 inches somewhere else, and then another area where it's like a gob of stuff hanging. And the one side of my house is like 45 feet up. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking up there like I wouldn't go up there for all the tea in China, and try to get that off of there.
Is that what was in the balloon?
Yeah, well, it was in the blue. Yeah, it was. They were dropping salt down.
Right.
Tea. For
So what do you do
topical.
about that? I mean,
Topical
could
joke
you
right
do
there.
that with those?
That's
high
very rare.
roofs like
Most of
that?
the time, the ice it's on the edge of the roof.
Yeah.
Because the heat rises.
No, I just mean the side of that house. It's just like 40.
Oh yeah, we'll get up there.
Oh,
We just get a bigger ladder.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. He's not scared.
No.
Mike Hilborn's not scared.
Not
Well, you're
scared of
paying.
anything.
You're paying by the hour.
Yeah.
It's not a bid. It's
and
not
it's
a quote.
expensive, isn't it?
Very expensive. And so whatever it takes, it is. No, it really is. It truly is expensive. And
but the damage that it could cause is even more.
yeah, it's
disruptive.
water starts leaking into your house. And what's interesting is that insurance doesn't pay for ice dam removal.
No.
I think
But they'll pay for the damage it causes.
they'll pay for the damage, right? But if the insurance company had to pay, can you imagine, to pay for every single ice dam in the state of Minnesota?
Oh, it'd be like
Lots
putting
of
a roof
claims.
on a
There's
house.
no way.
No,
But who's
they're not
going to
gonna
claim
do it.
that? I mean, what's the cost of ice dam removal? $1,000, $800.
Well, it depends on the size of the project,
da,
size of the house. No, it really does.
Richfield Ranch, 1,000 square feet.
Yeah,
Easy to get to.
You're probably looking at $1,000, $1,500.
Really?
Yeah, but we've had projects that are $10,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because it's time.
Just to melt ice?
Yep.
My gosh.
And
Get
it's-
up there with your hair
and it's
dryer.
from the
Yeah, hair dryer and a hammer.
Use an axe.
My two favorite ones is I was in Boston in 2015.
Yeah.
And Boston doesn't get ice like Minnesota. I mean, we are the ice capital of the world. All the big ice guys are here in Minnesota. But we will all pretty much travel anywhere, and it hit Boston like you would not believe. You've never seen so much snow. And
Do you guys have a Facebook group then, the Ice Guys, that you belong to? You share ideas?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not really big into that stuff. But anyway, I was driving by this house in Boston because they'd never seen it before, so they were not prepared for it. And there was a guy on his roof, one of those Richfield ones you just talked about, with a sledgehammer, full swings, whacking at ice that was this thick because he didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And
You get desperate.
it's
Plus,
like
they're
your
not
house.
used to, they don't know about it. It's
Your
like-
house is on fire.
Yeah.
You got water coming in your house.
Yeah.
It just freaks you out.
Yeah.
And so we were out there, and what would happen is people would call us, and we could turn on pay-per-click for 20 minutes, and in 20 minutes we would have all 20 vans booked solid for the next day. So it was that level of demand.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Boston Herald ran an article. This TV station actually said RTD is actually answering the phone, and it just exploded, right? And then it was so disappointing because there wasn't
Then you
anything we
couldn't-
could do.
yeah.
If I
You're
had 100
hooked.
vans, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But
How long did that last?
that lasted a month too. I got down there February 10th, right? And then was there for a month. And people in Boston, it was fabulous. One of the first questions they'd ask is, "You're one of those companies from Minnesota, right?" Because they wanted
the
a
Minnesota
Minnesota company.
Yeah.
And people in Boston literally believe that the lakes never thaw here. They think Minnesota is
An
first of all,
iceberg.
they don't even know where it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they're like, it's snow all the time, right? Isn't
Yeah,
it all
yeah.
the time? So kind of funny.
You're like right up there by the North Pole, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you know ice.
But one of my favorite stories in Minnesota this is the craziest, is that there was a woman that got on her ladder on her roof with a chainsaw.
Oh my God.
Yes.
A woman with a
Imagine.
chainsaw.
That's awesome. I bet
Smart.
she was hot.
Smart.
No, it's cold up there.
Yeah,
woman
so
with a
that-
chainsaw?
That's the scary one.
That's
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a scary one.
And then-
for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
You just have to think about it.
So,
Yep.
Oh,
There's that arm up on the roof. Can you get that while you're up
Yeah,
there?
she's locked right in the
Yeah.
ice now.
Yeah.
oh man. So how many did you do around the cities? Were you?
A lot. We did a lot. So I have 38 ice machines. So I believe I have more ice machines than anybody in the country. That's a lot of ice machines. And I have 20 vans. And then I have a number of other trucks. So we got up to 21 vans within like 4 days. And that's a pretty amazing thing to do, is to ramp up that level, right? Because you go from
Your
nothing
crew.
to over 50 employees just like that. Yeah.
How do you do that?
That's that miracle that I've talked to you guys on the show many times. I have, we've worked with so many different organizations that help men get back on their feet, and they just flood in. And then ice dams, okay, we charge a lot, but the guys make a tremendous amount of money. I got guys who'll make $500-$600 a day doing ice dams. They'll start at 7 a.m, and they won't stop until 6 a.m. the next day. They'll work 24 hours because they're getting paid really well.
Yeah.
And their friends want to come, and just whoop,
Yeah.
we get people super fast.
Nice.
That's really.
when you-
But hold on. How do you vet those people? Because now these people are all coming in fast,
Yep,
right?
yep.
How do you go through, vet them, do this, and now you have them on somebody's property?
Well, it's two-man teams, okay? So if I put 20 vans out there, I only need 20 guys, even though I'm running over 40. Right?
Okay.
Because 20 of them are his guys.
Well, 20, are guys, and I can pick up the phone, guys that have worked for me 2-3 years ago down in Boston or Chicago or wherever. Mike, I'm there. So we have a bunch of good guys that are there, and then the other guy is to help that guy make sure it gets done. And it's not even a hard job to do. It's just you're outside, you're in this,
you're
cold, you're working with hot water, and you're working for 12, 14 hours. So one guy will not do that. 2 guys will do that. I learned that back in 2015. If I put 2 guys in a van, they won't work 6 hours and go home. They'll work 12 or 14 or 20.
Motivate each other to keep going.
Yeah,
and
there's
money.
Yeah, and there's
a
a break time to it. You know, it's like, okay, you do the heavy lifting for a little bit.
Yep.
Let me kind of regain
up.
my strength and warm up.
Let me ask you about this then. When you're up on the roof, do you clear the entire width, or are you cutting channels, or how does that work?
So the way that you take off, you don't want to melt the entire ice dam because you'd be up there forever. What you do is you basically cut it into ice cubes. So if you can, 2 feet wide, and then so you got to cut left and right, and then you got to cut underneath it because otherwise it'll hold on to the shingles.
Yeah.
That's why you got to steam them off. You can't use hatchets. You can't do it because it will destroy
Your roof.
what you're trying to do. And then you're just throwing these blocks over your shoulder, to the ground below, and trying not to hit anything.
Or fall off the ladder
We're
with
going to
your
head out to
momentum.
break
Yeah,
here
you don't
real
want
quick,
to
guys. Why don't you give us your contact information for whatever services we're selling today?
651-699-3504 or RTD, Ralph Thomas David, RTD, icedamremoval.com.
We'll talk a little bit about what you can get done in the spring here, too, with your company in the next segment. Give us a call, 612-627-8000, HittnerGroup.com.
Welcome back to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk. Coming to you from the basement studios here at the Patriot, AM 1280. 612-627-8000 is the number to call, 612-627-8000. HittnerGroup.com, HITTNER Group, all one word, HittnerGroup.com. Check it out. Give us a ring-a-ling-a-ling. We'd be happy to chat with you about your real estate needs. Mike Hilborn is on the program. We were talking about ice dams the last segment, and so are you expecting, or would you expect another wave, or no way to know?
I'm not expecting it.
No. Okay. Now let's talk about your other businesses then, because you have the lights came up, right? So you got lights on these houses all around. You can't take them off probably in most cases now, because even if it's just a little bit of ice, you're not going to chip it out of even if you got 2 inches of ice up there, you're not going to chip it.
It depends on the direction the house faces. So if it's facing south, that little edge melts faster. The north side is going to that'll be the last thing to go.
The last ones.
But we have a lot of Christmas lights to take
I know
down,
you do.
and it was really, with that much snow and all the ice stuff, we weren't really taking them down then, and it was cold, and now it's perfect time to take them down. So, no, we got guys out right now today taking down as many as we can, and whatever we don't get down,
we'll do it later.
We'll make a note, and then we'll have to get back out there.
So how late does that push you in the spring then with taking lights down?
I've never not got all the lights down by sometime in March.
Okay.
And our traditional deck power washing and all that typically starts around April 1st.
Okay. And then
and every house is different probably. Do you get people calling you and saying, hey, take my lights down, or what?
Yeah, and the first thing is just, if you would, just unplug them. You don't have to have them on. Garland and wreaths, that's the thing you really want to take down, because that you really see.
Because he's talking about ice all over his house and all that, and my house is like, I barely have any snow on my roof anymore.
Really? Okay. Well,
you should put some insulation up there.
Well, the sun is just baking the crap out of it, because I get late afternoon.
Well, and you
sun,
don't have a
not
lot of
that
big trees
exposure.
around your house. And big trees, that's where you'll see the
they're
difference.
going to guard and all
Yep.
that. So, my house is beautifully exposed to the sun.
Right. Yep.
To the elements.
Yeah, my last house was not, so that's why I say it that way.
Okay, so now your deck business starts when?
April 1st-ish.
April 1st-ish. And what is the requirements weather-wise and to that? And explain to people who are listening what it is that you do with decks.
So, a wood deck, you want it to look nice. You've got family and friends coming out there. You cook food on it, that kind of thing. You don't want it to look all dingy
Nasty.
and gray and ugly. So what we do is we power wash it. We get all the old stain off, if you will, and kind of make the deck literally look like brand new. And your deck is never prettier than when you've just washed it. But to keep that color, that wood color, then we have to come back and stain it. And then we put an oil-based stain on it so that it retains the color. Floor will last about 2 years. Verticals last about 4. So most people have their deck done every 2 or 3 years, something like that.
What do you do when you come to a house where they just really haven't done anything, and you go to power wash it, and say they put cedar on, and it was like, okay, you don't ever have to treat it, you don't ever have to do anything, it'll last forever. We all know it doesn't last forever.
Right.
So then do you stop and say, look, we can't do anything?
No. That's our favorite.
Okay.
The easiest deck to do by far is something that has never been touched. What's hard to do is when somebody's put some sort of product on their deck, like a water-based stain or paint. That's a nightmare. And then, there's options for everything. Okay, well then in this case we have to sand it, and typically what we try to do is we try to strip it off with something called sodium hydroxide. It actually melts the stain so that you rinse it off. People think you're going up to power wash it and you're ripping the stain off. There's no stopping where the stain ends and the wood begins. Mm-hmm. So you melt it chemically and then you rinse it off, and then you have to neutralize it to get it back to kind of the base of 7 where wood lives.
What about repair?
We don't do that.
You don't do it. Do you have anyone that you refer to?
Yeah, we refer a couple different companies out for that.
So if you go in and you see a deck and you've rinsed it, and it's like, something, you need some new uprights, you need to replace a few boards and stuff like that, call these guys?
We used to do it. It was kind of a nightmare for us. It's just not in our wheelhouse.
Okay.
What other businesses do you have floating that start again in March, April?
So parking garages will start up. So
right.
we wash parking garages for like the U of M and any condo apartment building you can imagine. We went to a conference about 3-4 weeks ago to learn how to stripe parking lots. So we're going to start striping parking lots because we get that request all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of exciting for us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you get that request? I'm fascinated.
Well, you go out and clean it out, right?
Well, you're doing a parking garage at a condo or something, and those paint lines fade, and every 4, 5, 6 years you have to have it striped,
freshened up.
And they'll say, well, can you take care of that? And it's like, we can, and we would subcontract it to a partner, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But now we have to line schedules, and sometimes they don't show up and then it comes back on us. It's, well, you said you were going to do it, you didn't get it done. It's like, okay, we're just going to own this process. So we're doing that, which is pretty fun.
That's fun.
Yep, super fun.
Is that a whole different crews then that do that now, or?
It's everything's talent, right? Everything has something to do with talent. You have to have the guy to do it. And I've got this guy that's worked for me for a while. His name is Dustin. He's awesome. And he's been cleaning decks and everything, and he's a smart guy. And at some point, it's like, how many decks can you wash in your life?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Dustin, here's where we want to go. And he's like, oh, my God, Mike, years ago, I was planning on doing something like that. Mm-hmm. So he was super fired up. Sent him to a conference in South Carolina, and, there you go. We got some super talented guy, and he's motivated, and,
Is the equipment, what's the equipment?
It's like $12,000 for this certain kind of cart that has a paint sprayer on it, and that's kind of middle of the road. You can go high end, and it'll drive for you.
Yeah.
And then you can go
That's
low
if you
end.
want to do highways.
I don't know. So it's like, okay, let's get something in the middle. Well, we really don't need that right now.
It's highway guys
But
are out
we
there just
will,
painting. They just got a roller, and they're sitting on the tailgate of the truck, just like.
I think I saw that Seinfeld where he was trying to get rid of the lines.
That's right. That's
right.
So that's your new deal. That'll start up now. So when you're
in,
it's nice because you're in cleaning the parking garage, and you can make a call and say, hey, we just finished the thing. You really need to redo these stripes on here because we could hardly get out. We didn't know where to go.
Right. Yeah. Something like that.
Something like that. What else is going on then?
So we do
Fences?
that. Yeah, decks, fences, gazebos, porches, cedar.
Tell us about
roofs.
roof. I mean, it's roof to deck. So tell us about roofs.
Okay, so roofs get that algae on it called Glocoxamagma, especially you guys. You've got that roof that's all streaky, and all it needs is a $500 wash, and it literally looks like the roof is brand new.
Yeah,
and
it scares people away, too, from properties, especially when buyers are getting a little bit more discerning now. We're spending more time just making sure everything is dialed in on the property.
Yep. And it looks like, when you guys look at it, people look at it, it looks like the worst part. Like, wow, that roof isn't in very good shape.
All streaky.
Yeah, but it is. It's actually the healthiest part of your roof. The side of your roof that's going to wear out first is what gets all the sun. Algae doesn't like to grow in sun. So it'll look perfectly clean on that sunny side and dirty on the other side. We wash it off. It literally makes it look like, if I could have a business of just washing roofs and never do anything else, and I'd live my life the way I like it, I would do that.
What about siding then?
Yeah, we do that.
Do you ever the same thing happen to the siding?
That's called house washing.
Okay.
So there's There's two things. There's either mold, algae, things like that, and then there's dirt. So there's a combination soap we use that has some bleach in it, some soap in it. The bleach part gets rid of the algae and that sort of thing, and the soap gets rid of the dirt.
And do you just literally spray it, or do you spray it and then do you have to like squeegee it or wipe it or anything?
No, it's designed to be, touch-free, so to speak, and you got to put the chemical on right. You got to really put it on right, because if you don't, you're going to wreck the siding.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal, and it looks great. Yeah.
Matter what kind of siding, if it's vinyl or steel or...
What's going to work the best is vinyl, steel, aluminum. All those wash well. Stucco's a little harder, because it's got crevices and stuff like that. Doesn't clean as always the way you want it to. And brick, you can't even tell.
Brick, you can't even tell.
No, you can't even tell it's dirty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a granite countertop.
Exactly. Yeah, you only have to wipe that down like once or twice a month.
Yep.
Unless you run your hand on it and go, oh, God.
Yeah.
It's bumpy.
Set your
It's
piece
kind
of
of
paper
bumpy
on
and
there.
sticky. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You set your coffee cup on it and you go to pick it up and it's kind of stuck to the countertop.
Yeah.
All right. So what contact information then for, let's say for the decks and for the roofs?
So we basically have 6 different segments. We have 6 different websites, so that when you go to the website, it's actually talking about what you're looking for.
Which service?
Which service, right? So we have one for power washing, one for snow plowing, one for ice dam removal, so on and so forth. But 651-699-3504 will get you to Leah or Sean, and they'll take care of whatever direction you want to go. Roof to deck is pretty easy. Roof to TO deck, and you go there, and it'll point you in the right direction.
And then all your guys, you just kind of transition from one service to the
Seasonal
next.
services.
Well, it's interesting. So
Based on
the guys that wash trucks, and they like washing trucks. They don't like doing decks. It's weird. And my deck guys don't want to wash trucks, and my parking garage guys don't want to do the other two. So we have a group of guys that do this because that's their comfort zone. And then when we get into Christmas lighting, some guys can do it, some guys can't.
Well, that's good then. You're not pulling guys from jobs and you have slack over here because the guys are here doing this type of job. So head to your website and give you a call anytime, right, to set up any of these services, seasonal services. Roof to Deck is the name of the company, rooftodeck.com. Thanks for coming in, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I always love it, man.
Give us a call, 612-627-8000, and log on to our real estate website, hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group.com, and we'll be right back.
Money in the bank.
Rates are good. Pretty exciting.
You know why? Why?
Free money. You understand what I'm saying?
Welcome back to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk. 612-627-8000. That's 612-627-8000. Mike Hilborn's with us. He's going to stay on and chat with Calvin as Calvin gives us a lecture on ratios. Calvin, what do you got?
Not on ratios. I asked you specifically to not ask me stuff. Well, let's hit on the mortgage market here real quick, and we're just going to I'm going to give you one headline, and it basically says, after hitting the lowest levels in more than 4 months last week, rates popped quickly back to the highest levels in months by Tuesday. So in terms of where we're at, we were flirting with 5.99. You could get there, and then we do the 1-0 buy down, so we're at 4.99, just getting everybody comfortable again. Well, now we're 6.5 again. Just like that.
You don't think that'll last, so do you?
I don't. We really anticipate, once that happens and everybody's like, Barry Habib said, blah, 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 And we think over the course of the next 12 months, we're going to see rates go back down.
12 months?
Yeah, it keeps going out now.
Yeah. 12 months.
In the next 4 years, we believe.
Sometime over the course of the next decade.
Before I retire,
I
feel like things are going to come back down.
What about May? What about April?
Yep. So we think, they have expanded a little bit, right? So they went from 6 months to about 12 months now, right? That's good.
Exactly.
I like that. Thank you for that, Trevor. So, but they think rates are going to come back down, low 5s, again, high 4s. So we'll see. Obviously, things are ebb and flow, and the economy has a factor in all of that. But we're back to 6.5. So disappointing. What's crazy now is like people are like, I can't get 5.99, where before they were cutting their risk because it was 5.99, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, can't I get that? And I'm like, Well, you
Right.
can. Let me tell you how. You can get any rate you want. Mike can still get 3.5% if you want.
Well, we just put a transaction together this past week and used a lot of seller concessions to help
Yep.
out with different things to make the transaction work.
Yep.
So we're just seeing more of that. And I did the same thing on the other side. So this one was my listing. We used quite a bit of money. There's some lender credit, seller concession, all these things that we were doing to help offset costs overall, mess with the interest rate. All those things were taking place so the buyer could get the property. And ultimately the seller could sell.
Yeah.
And so we had the same situation in working with a buyer this past week as well, where we were finagling around with different scenarios to help with the overall cost, with the expectation that at some point in the future, near or semi-near, that there can be a refinance opportunity.
Yep.
So
And you've
Yep.
got that new float up option now.
Float up.
Yeah, so people can,
We can float you up if you don't
float
want.
you up to a higher rate.
And get
if
you a little
want.
higher rate.
Yeah.
if
A little
you
bit
feel-
higher.
Higher is better, isn't it?
Yeah, higher interest tax deduction next
Yeah,
year.
that's right.
What I think is interesting about the interest rate market right now is that when you try to do something, without buying the interest rate down, if you're just looking at, back 10 years ago, maybe longer, when interest rates were in kind of the 5% range, we'd look at 5-year ARMs and
Yeah.
try to say, okay, well, if everybody, we're going to have an opportunity to refinance,
Yeah.
well, then let's just do an adjustable rate mortgage, and the rate was far more attractive
There was a gap,
than the
right?
prevailing 30-year mortgage rates.
Right, and that's not the case today, right?
Why
We
is
do-
that, Calvin?
Because they believe that they're going to have lower.
Because the window
30-year
for lower
fixed.
rates
Yeah.
is so much sooner.
Yeah.
That-
So we're gonna see rates come down, so they're not going to take the
Risk.
risk on it. So we do have one. If we have, we have one outlet on a 5-year ARM, 7-year ARM that's pretty attractive. But again, you got to know that that's going to come to pass.
What does that mean?
So,
If rates are 6.5, what's pretty attractive?
maybe
5.9?
5.75, 5.625 in there.
Yeah.
Not great, but a little bit.
That's still great. That's pretty good, actually.
know.
You got a 5 in front of it, I think,
you're in good shape.
Well, the difference, what I'm saying is the difference between what you can just lock in at 30
Yeah.
years versus the 5%. You'd probably like to see 1% off, right?
That's kind of the rule of thumb, right?
Yeah.
So,
I got a question about credit scores then.
yep.
Because, the whole world seems to be more driven now by credit score. Everything, your insurance and everything is credit score.
For
So
sure.
how big of an impact does that have on rates? When you're saying, quoting rates, what score is associated with that?
Probably 740, 760. A really good rate, because we do see they call it loan level price adjustments, and you get hit for credit. You get hit for credit, LTV, things like that.
So it's more that you don't necessarily get a better rate if you're at 800 in credit score. or
you will
more.
get a better rate.
Will you get a better rate
Yes.
than if you're at 7?
Yes.
How much better is that you're looking at? Is it
Quarter,
Is it
eighth.
okay? Quarter and eighth.
Yep.
But you get punished if you're at 6.
Oh yeah, you're going to feel that.
Yeah.
Right. And then we're going to make sure that we just find ways to do it though. So we always find a way, right? So we either use seller paid concessions, we do a 2-1 buy down, a 1-0 buy down. We find creative ways to make sure that we're getting the lowest rate possible. Plus now, Freddie, Fannie have both removed for first time home buyers, we can get a lot lower rate because they've removed these loan level price adjustments on if you're less than 100% of the median income, blah, blah, blah. No
Yeah.
one cares. But if you're a first-time home buyer, rates actually are more attractive than if you're a repeat buyer.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. So, which brings me to a point I was talking to one of my loan officers this morning, and he said, he called me, he's all excited this morning, and he said, you know what I realized? 80% of my transactions last year were first-time home buyers of my purchase business. I'm like, wow, really? He goes, you want to know what's really interesting? Of that 80%, 70%, because he went back and asked, and he said 70% of those people, their parents rented. They lived in a rented home. He goes, man, this is we're doing such a good service.
What do you mean by that?
You grew up, your dad rented his whole life. So
I hear you.
You were the first generation to
to
own
own
it.
it.
buyer, yeah.
That's a great language.
Yeah.
That's a great language. So first generation to own their own home. And you're like, wow, isn't that fantastic? That 70% of my
First timers.
first timers grew up in a rental situation. He said, like I did, right? He said, I lived in 15 different homes. Parents got divorced, just unstable. And he said, man, the stability we give families is amazing. And how do we go after, he called and say, how do we go after finding these people, these first-time home buyers saying, hey, let's get into a stable environment. Let's get into a let's have your own property, you know. So we got to think through that more and more. So,
Yeah, that's good.
Mike,
Yeah.
you and I both attended the Jordan Peterson. Do you guys listen to Jordan Peterson? Do you ever hear him on?
All the time.
Do you?
Is anybody out there picketing or?
Yep.
There were three.
There were there?
There were three guys.
3 people? Yep.
Yeah, one, they called us Nazis.
Oh, perfect.
Great.
And the news media, they're giving them close-ups, so it made it
Sure,
look like
sure.
there was 100.
There's a lot of people. Yeah. Look at all these people. Those people were all going into the theater.
Yeah.
I had some people in front just pissed.
You
know?
got called Nazis.
Yeah.
Nazis.
You're a Nazi.
Okay.
Oh,
And then I wanted to respond and like talk sense into a crazy person.
Yeah, no.
But they just no. You're going.
they encourage you to
You're
show.
not. You're not going to talk to this.
Give me a takeaway from your.
You wanted to engage.
Yeah.
Activate.
give me some takeaways.
Okay. So it was really, really interesting.
Okay.
And I went one night. Kelvin went a different night.
Oh,
And yeah, so it was a
So
different.
did you talk male toxicity, or what did we talk about?
No. This one was about what memories are for. So if you fell into a hole, your mind is going to really keep that in your head so that you don't fall into another hole again, for example. And remember, he goes, remember what that is. It's remembering your body. Like you're putting your arms back on you because you were torn apart by whatever happened. It was fascinating. And yeah, so, and then you got to apply it to something personal. And it was fascinating because I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if that's why I think about this one thing so much, and that sort of thing.
You just don't want to. You just don't want to move. You don't want to take that back into your current.
Oh, I do
situation,
not
right?
want to go back to that.
Right.
And I was actually talking to Jan Marie about it, and how it kind of tied in, even to our relationship. It was really fascinating.
So your
man.
brain is like trying to protect you against.
Yeah.
Why
do
to protect
not
you?
go back there.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was good, but you don't. Yeah, and it was neat to see the pieces of that, and then how that makes sense, because it's just like, why do I think about that so much?
What'd you take away?
And so, but realize that what he just put into a minute and a half was a 2-hour lecture.
And it went like that.
Yeah.
For me, it did. I was like, all of a sudden, it was over.
Ours was around Rule 8, which says make one room in your house as beautiful as possible.
One room in your house as beautiful as possible.
And he talks about starting with cleaning your room, right? And how simple that is. Clean your room, but yet how complex that is.
Mm-hmm.
So many decisions to be made. What do I do with this? Where do I put this? How do I do this? And how he would work with his clients to help them make better and better decisions about what they're doing, right? So one, he would take the vacuum. He said, can you just vacuum your room? Well, he put the vacuum in the doorway, stepped over it for a week, but that's as far as he could go. And then, can you just vacuum? And then just went through this whole cycle about making one thing beautiful, right? And then I just got some notes. It said, make your room better, and then something else, right? Order leads to beauty. What stupid thing are you doing right now that's getting in your way? These are all just like one-liners I wrote down. How you do anything is how you do everything. So for an example, I worked at Southtown Foodland. Oh, we're running out of time.
Go.
I work at Southtown Foodland in college, and the owner, when he interviewed somebody, said, hey, let's go for a ride in your car. And if the car was dirty, he wouldn't hire him. And he would say, you know what, the way you treat your car is how you'll treat my store.
Oh.
So this isn't a good fit.
That's so good.
It is
So-
great, isn't it?
so
Simple
there's
stuff.
so
Make
many-
your bed.
Yeah.
That's why he talks about that, and talked about what dragon ate your soul. Like, you think that way because there's a dragon that ate your soul. What ate your soul? And sit on the edge of your bed and think through these things. It was fascinating. It was a fascinating time.
Yeah. It's great.
We got to go. This is Your Real Estate Chalk Talk. We'll see you next week.